The Gina and Matty podcast.
Right now, though, let's talk money. Yeah, last night it was budget night. It's accountant's Christmas, and there was a lot that came out last night. And the headline grabbing one this morning, Gina, is that $300 for everyone to help pay their energy bills.
But not all at once, right?
No, the way I see it is it's $75 a quarter, but someone who knows more about that sort of stuff than me is Glen James, and he joins us on the line this morning. G'day, Glenn.
Hey, friends, how are you?
Good
morning,
friend.
Glenn.
How are you, bud?
Oh, mate, I've just pulled an all-nighter. Big party
I bet.
last night. So, yeah, it's been a big one.
Mate, it's like your Christmas. Okay, so the headline that's doing the rounds today, the big one, is that $300 for everyone. So regardless of how much you make, whether you're the CEO of Macquarie Bank and you're making $30 million a year, or you're, a struggling apprentice living out of home, everyone's getting the same amount of money to help pay energy bills.
Yeah, and you've got to look at this from a political lens. Look, it was a big spending budget, and I think a lot of interest groups and a lot of people got a little bit, but this $300 thing, it's so wild. The RBA think that inflation will get down to 3.1%, right?
Yep.
Where Treasury and the budget papers think that it will be 2.75%. So there's a big difference with what the government is modelling and what the RBA actually targeting, or what they think they'll target. But this $300 for everyone, energy prices make up a big part of the inflation numbers.
Yeah.
So it is the government's goal to try and get one interest rate decrease before the next election.
Is there talk of an early election, though?
Well, there is chatter that look, I don't think we will see it before the end of the year, but it might be a bit earlier in the new calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole thing, right? $300. I don't need an extra $300. You guys probably don't need. I'm not allergic to money. I'll take it, but
yeah, that's right. I know
honestly,
what you mean. Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. And I think a lot of it was, let's throw a big hit at a big part of the inflation number, so we can get the inflation down a little bit on paper. And the difference there is, with this $300, the logic is, if you give people money, they spend it. If you credit a bill, they're not going to go and spend more money. That's the kind of psychology behind it. But yeah, interesting one. And I think a lot of it is, it's easy to administer just to credit everybody. So it was probably more administration function. Yeah. But I just don't know why they wouldn't means test it, because, there's people, your listeners out there on the coast going to work, an extra $75 a quarter, that's life-changing for some people. What if we gave those who needed it most an extra $150 a quarter, and people like big radio stars like you guys, not the $300. So anyway.
It makes sense.
I totally, I'm picking up what you're putting down. It looks like it is an election budget. They're just trying to, and I think the backlash that they're getting today from a lot of industry groups is probably something that they weren't expecting. They probably thought they were going to come out looking like heroes, giving everyone money, and they're like, well, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Well, every interest group got a little tickle scratched, but it was while a couple of things to note. There were no new taxes, but they weren't removing any. They're really, basically, if you're out there in West Gosford and you're digging up green hydrogen or critical minerals, that's a joke, everyone. You'll do really well. So, this whole future made in Australia policy, throwing billions of dollars, it means nothing to most people. We knew about the help debt tweak. We knew about the tax cuts coming in 1 July. The average person will probably get about $35 a week tax. Oh, what else? Rent assistance up 10%, so you'll get an extra $25 a fortnight if you rent.
Glenn, by adding so much stimulus, by like tax cuts and refunds, surely that's a risk of driving up interest rates, though.
Well, that's the million-dollar question, and it's rolling the dice, and I think we'll actually know come the end of the year in November when we see if they hold rates or increase. I mean, I just think it's just just looking at this third budget that Jim Chalmers has handed down, it really is the first election speech.
Yeah, 100%.
And the weird thing was, like he says there's a $9.3 billion surplus this year. In December of last year, so we'll call it 6 months ago, the government were predicting a $1.1 billion deficit, but commodity prices have basically doubled, so they've just got a whole heap of money with it wasn't out of, like, they can't control the international commodity prices.
No, that's right. And it's going to be in deficit after the next 12 months as well, and then the year after that and the year after that.
It's going to be a wild time, and this is a bigger problem. Like, do we need longer terms for federal politics? But we won't go there.
No, I reckon we might leave it there, Glenn. If anyone is interested in or more of this, they can catch your podcast. This is Money Podcast, wherever you get your potties, Glenn.
Thanks, friends. And we've got a bonus episode dropping this afternoon just where we deep dive on all these budget stuff if anyone is interested. But thanks, friends. We'll see you soon.
See you, mate.
Thanks, Glenn.
Bye. That's Glen James there from the This Is Money podcast. That was all a bit doom and gloom. So I think I might just shine a spotlight just quickly on something that was some good news that came out of the budget last night, especially in the space of women's health. First, they've dropped $50 million investment into research and issues into menopause, pregnancy loss and fertility.
Yes.
Areas and research that have historically been underfunded. Also, $8 million into the development of data sets on miscarriage, sexual and reproductive health in a bid to enhance data collection in that. Also, they've also dropped almost $50 million to providing longer consultations for complex gynecological conditions like endometriosis.
That's so good.
And pelvic pain.
Because for so many years, women, that's been completely ignored.
100%.
Not even really acknowledged. And, you know, you think, oh, you need a day off work. Oh, you poor thing. But they don't realise how intense it is for some women. So that's good.
Also, $12 million is going to go into the National Aboriginal Community Controlled Health Organisation to facilitate community-led, culturally appropriate distribution of free period products in remote areas as well. So doing some good stuff in that space.
Yeah.
The Gina and Matty Podcast.
For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.